shit. I know I laced it with blood.
Happy Pride Month to all you pimps and hoes from your favorite Fortune 500 companies, because, you know, Chase Bank cares. But in all seriousness, if you gay, cool, man, as long as you listen to the show. But, like, we really have to stop with acting like these fucking Fortune 500 companies, some of them banks, we'll get into that later, actually give a shit about who you fuck in the privacy of your own home. They want your dollar. That's it. And the fact that there's some people who can see the rainbow flag lit up in a coffee shop during 1 month in the summer and think, this is where I'll spend my money because they actually care, is almost as dumb as saying we should celebrate the entire contributions of African Americans just during the month of February, because, you know, that's really all they need. The shortest month. That's enough to honor those who did that. So now I got that out of the way, because that's just something, honestly, people, I really thought Pride Month was April up until pretty much like last year. I don't know if that's like a Berenstein Bears situation, but I could have swore it was April, because April's gay month. But, you know, enough about that. As long as you're listening to the show, that's all that matters. I give a fuck who you fuck, and as long as you know, spend your money at companies that, you know, give a shit, that's really all that matters. But there's a lot going on. I don't know if anyone here, obviously it's just me, so is involved in crypto. But I'm a crypto cowboy. I hate to break it to you. That's who I am, want it dead or alive, mostly dead because of my crushing debt. But Bitcoin in particular, but, you know, crypto as a whole, has taken a fucking tumble over the last, 3 weeks or so. Thanks to none other than everyone's favorite fucking fake-ass Iron Man, Elon motherfucking Tusk. And I know his name's Musk, but Tusk kind of, honestly, I thought that'd be funnier than it was. But Elon Musk, who, like, is, honestly, hats off to him for one, because he's, like, the only billionaire that people seem to like, which is, in and of itself, an incredible feat, because when you have a biblically evil amount of money, you really shouldn't be liked by people. But it turns out all you have to do to be liked by people, when you have the ability to just pay for people to die at whim, is have a funny Twitter account. It's kind of as simple as just, Chase Bank saying we care about gay people for 1 month, so spend all your money here with us. But Elon has, originally he went from being, the main figurehead of crypto, particularly Doge, which is literally the physical currency for irony. It literally does not do anything. It serves no purpose. It's dangerous, in my opinion. But Elon, all of a sudden, and for reasons you could project a lot about, has suddenly started to change his tune with Bitcoin. Recently, he had Tesla stop accepting Bitcoin as a form of payment for the cars or for services. He all of a sudden either found out or just pretended to start caring about the environmental impact that mining Bitcoin has in terms of like energy resources for companies. I don't buy any of that shit. I think it's because the FCC is like, hey man, we can't have you controlling a currency based off of a fucking shitpost tweet, because, that's dangerous. So I would think personally that his reversal in tune is probably because the FCC is breathing down his alien ass crack. But Elon has really stepped in some shit as of late, because Bitcoin, for those of you who don't know, about a month ago, maybe a little bit more than that now, Bitcoin was capping out at like fucking $60,000 a coin. Fast forward, we're here now during Pride Month, and it is at $35,000. That's nearly a 50% drop in value, all because of Elon either not giving a fuck about you, which is probably likely if he's a billionaire, or the FCC is coming for him, which is probably likely because he's a billionaire. But he's taken this to a new level, because the people who get involved in crypto for the most part are not people who have thriving, diversified portfolios, 401ks, and are just generally of the waspy variety. They tend to be younger people who, for a whole litany of fucking reasons, are just good goddamn fucked in every which hole financially for foreseeably the rest of their life. So there's an element of like, we need to get rich quick off of crypto. So that's why you see like Robinhood blows up with crypto, or the fact that Doge even fucking exists is because everyone thinks there's, at the end of this tunnel, a get rich quick scheme. Like, this is how I will end up financially, not insolvent. Well, that is, that was a rose-colored optimistic viewpoint because Elon has caught himself in a web of fucking problems. Recently, the anonymous group, and that's not like a clever play on a band name like The Who. Anonymous, literally the group name Anonymous of the hackers who wear the, V for Vendetta mask. They sent out a very, very threatening video where a guy modulates his voice and says, "Hey, rich guy, we know you're a dick, and we're gonna do shit to you, like steal movies and wear dumb masks." Now, I'm sure I'm completely downplaying the ability that Anonymous has to fuck with people, but that's because Anonymous is not a real fucking group, people. I don't buy any of that shit because Anonymous, by its own fucking title, is anonymous. So you do not know who's in it. And I think it's a revolving door of fucking dumb idiots who are actually kind of smart, who get involved in Reddit. There's maybe 3 or 4 people in some, fucking censored country who are actually trying to do legitimate hacktivism. And I think it's a revolving door. You don't know who Anonymous is. For like the video that got posted, for all we know, half of the people who claim to be an anonymous don't even feel that way. It could be just, fucking Dread Pirate Roberts tweeting from jail saying, "Hey, I'm mad at you." But because of the fact that Elon has convinced a lot of financially fucked young people to put all of their money, and even though he tried to go on SNL and walk that back and say, "Hey, look at me, I'm a human, I make jokes," and tell everyone, "Hey, it's an investment, you have to be wary, you could lose money," things like that. That doesn't stop dumb people like me from putting all their money into it and then watching a month later it fucking gets sliced in half like a game of Fruit Ninja. And now Anonymous is pissed. And everyone else is online too. Like if you do even a little bit, like if you know how to access the dark web, people are posting pictures of Elon Musk in his neighborhood. Like he's being watched. He's being stalked. I genuinely think this dude is going to get himself fucking killed because people are going to be losing their homes that they just bought with the money they don't have, which is another fucking thing. I don't know if everyone or if the real estate market is the same state by state, but at least here in Pennsylvania, which I just revealed where I am, Anonymous, come get me, it is fucking astronomical. I mean, there are row homes going for $300,000 in shitty neighborhoods after we supposedly just had the most economically fucked year in, almost 20 years, right? So somehow that math just doesn't seem to add up. But that's the thing, because it doesn't seem like math fucking matters anymore, which is weird. And it's starting to move into, like, money. Like, people, like, for example, I know a friend of mine who's 26 years old, who has, for the last 4 months, put 75% of his paycheck in cryptocurrencies. In any cryptocurrency, that's ranging from your Walt Disneys like Bitcoin, Ethereum, all the way down to your Doge and your motherfucking cum rockets, which is a real ass coin. If you do not believe me, go ahead and check. There is a cryptocurrency called cum rocket, and everyone thinks this is a good idea. So my friend, who is probably soon to jump off the Golden Gate Bridge, has just for the last 3 months been giving up 75% of his fucking income because he thinks Elon Musk, the billionaire, is giving you free game like he's Jay-Z to get rich quick and all of a sudden pay off your student loans. That is not going to happen. And I am a sucker. I really am. I enjoy people who just troll people, who just fuck with people for the fuck of it, because it's funny and life can be boring and you have to make it entertaining. So I kind of dig Elon. I think he's cool because, at his core, you feel like he has a nice message, like he cares about the earth, and we're going to make electric cars cool, which he seemingly did. I mean, you're starting to see Teslas pretty frequently. But he's also, to admit, and everyone else I'm sure likes him for this reason, he just seems fucking funny. Like, he seems cool. Like, he'll pop up on Kanye West's Twitter or, tweet something about aliens, which is something else I'd like to unpack later with him. But he just seems like a guy who at least has like an internet themed sense of humor, for lack of a better description. Like, he's a guy who seems to get like whatever the current cultural digital zeitgeist is. He's dialed in and he's making jokes at it. But the problem with doing that is when you're the only billionaire who actually behaves kind of humorously and endearingly online, people immediately, you turn into this fucking false prophet where people will, on the whim of a tweet, just spend their entire paycheck on an investment before they even know what a fucking stock is. And it's dangerous because this motherfucker is going to get himself killed because people are going to lose these homes. They're going to default. They're going to end up homeless, but they're going to have a fucking Bitcoin or a half of a Bitcoin or probably not even that much. And then what the fuck are you going to do? And that's not the shit on crypto. Like I said, I am a firm believer in cryptocurrency because I can't think of anything I hate more than birds. Obviously, I hate birds. But anything I hate more than motherfucking banks, and specifically the Federal Reserve, which, if you didn't know or didn't pay attention in 8th grade, is literally not even a federal institution. It is a privately owned company that pretends in name to be a government institution that then lends the world. And when I say the world, it lends all but like 3 countries that fucking suck their money on a dime to then have people spend their money and then they collect interest on the money they printed and gave to these countries. Now, if you're hearing this for the first time and you're a little confused as to how, wait a minute, that's actually how our currency works, you're damn fucking skippy because it makes no sense. It makes literally no sense. Like, why would all of these countries agree to let a clearly, at the minimum, deceptive organization decide to be the world's printer and supplier of money? That seems to have a lot unpacking. And I think when you do even a little bit of research into that, you're kind of forced to come to this conclusion. And I know this is going to sound crazy, but money does not, it exists, but it does not matter. It's not real. It's real in the sense rocks are real. You can touch the thing, but the only reason you know what a rock is because if you pick it up, you have to already have had someone tell you at some point in your life, this is what a rock is, this is what a rock looks like, I agree to call these things rocks. It's the same principle with money. You can hold $1, right? But pretend you're an alien and you've never been on Earth. Your first day you get here and someone gives you a $1 bill. You pick it up. You wouldn't know that's not toilet paper because why fucking would you? It's a weird rectangular green piece of paper that has a fucking dead slave owner on it. Why would that have any value? And the answer is it fucking doesn't. It really, truly doesn't. The fact that, like, the dollar itself can change versus, like, the pound, like, that's something you hear compared a lot. Like, the dollar's above the pound's above the dollar. That, to me, signifies this money, which literally says $1 on it, is not even worth that because that can change. Why can that change? Well, that can change because money used to be, in this country at least, backed by gold, which meant if you had, let's say, $1,000, somewhere in fucking America, there literally existed a $1,000 equivalent of gold, which meant that the thing you held as a piece of paper was essentially the gold itself, which meant if you traded something, you now had less of that shit because object permanence, shit you learn at like 4. But a little thing happened in motherfucking 1934 called the Gold Reserve Act, in which the federal government took all of the gold from the citizens. They just fucking took it. They just said, hey, you got gold, it's ours now. In fact, they went as far as to make it illegal to own gold. And they just literally stole it from everybody, hoarded it, maybe hid it in Fort Knox, probably didn't. I think there's weirder shit in Fort Knox than just gold, like what are we, fucking children? But then all of a sudden, we replaced the gold standard with this fiat dollar. And a fiat dollar is essentially a currency that can rise, fall based on various external factors, primarily the cost of oil, because that's kind of how the world works. But when you then take the dollar and you keep the number on it saying this is $1, but the actual value intrinsically of it itself can fluctuate based on world events, what you have is a recipe for motherfucking controlling people. Because all of a sudden, everything, and I hate to, quote everyone's grandparents, but you need to hold the money that you spend. You need to see it go. It's object permanence. Because honestly, they took the golden way in 1934. Fast forward to now, people swipe their credit cards and they don't even fucking look at how much shit costs because you don't ever even see it. Think about it. How many of you get paid from your jobs, if you're lucky enough to still fucking have one, thanks China, don't even see the money in your paycheck? It goes from, you get an email saying, hey, you have money in your bank account. Now there's money in your bank account. Feel free to go swipe your piece of plastic somewhere. How much is that piece of plastic worth? just, Chinese slave labor of children. That's about all it is. None of this is real. But then when you consider that fact, it kind of makes you think, wait a minute, maybe this crypto thing isn't just a scam to rip off poor people, because you already don't see your money. So why not have it just exist represented digitally on a blockchain? It's almost like gold 2.0, right? Wrong again. Because while I do believe crypto is much stronger than the fiat dollar, because I think wet toilet paper is stronger than the fiat dollar, still exists the problem of individuals having too much influence over it and still dictating a fluctuating cost. For example, Elon fucking Musk sends a tweet. Some people lose their life savings because they're stupid, which can't happen, which is why the FCC is freaked out, which is why I thought at least Elon started changing his tune on basically telling everyone, hey, don't be fucking stupid and put everything you have in a digital coin. But people continue to do that regardless. But the main thing with crypto, and I don't know if I believe in crypto more or if I just do not, I want a solution to the current financial system. Because what is happening right now is money. We all know deep down, we really do, gun to your fucking head, that money is not real. It exists because it's a system that we all agreed to buy into because we need to create structure so we all just don't rape and pillage into oblivion. But it really is not real because, how many times have you heard your grandparents say, in my day, a movie was a nickel? It literally was. It literally was. And now we're never going to go to the movies again. But now they used to be $17, which is proof that this currency that we're spending to do things, it's not real. It's like this fucking funny money coupon that's given to us that changes in value based on who's elected or who stole an election. Ha ha. I'm just kidding. I'm not, it's probably the right move. Biden's in office, but I digress. The thing, and I think what we're really starting to see currently represented in the housing market is the fact that we have row homes going for $300,000 in shitty neighborhoods because all of a sudden people seem to have money despite losing their jobs and a pandemic happening. Now, why is that happening? I'll tell you why. It's because interest rates are at I don't want to say all time, but they're at a fucking extremely basement level. I'm talking Kmart blue light clearance discount rate right now because the easy answer to that is everyone was worried about the economy. So what the banks are going to do is make interest rates extremely low so people feel more comfortable borrowing more fake money so they can go spend it, put that back into the economy, and then the Federal Reserve takes their piece and you go fuck off. But people are now buying houses with money they can't afford, which is a weird sentence, but it's literally money they cannot afford, and then taking some of it and putting it in fucking crypto. But the housing market, the reason I bring it up, it's a great example of how duplicitous, how mercurial fucking money is because it's based on, like I said, who's ever in office. And it serves its purpose because it's obviously better than bartering and trading and shit. Otherwise, we'd still, do you want to live in India? I don't. But we need money. We need certain things. But what we need is a currency that's fucking backed by something. And the reason I like crypto is because it attempts to present a solution to that problem via the blockchain. And I'm not an expert, but I'm pretty sure I kind of understand how this works. The blockchain essentially, if you don't know, every Bitcoin that's produced, and eventually, for those of you who don't know, there is a finite amount. I believe by 2100, the year 2100, all Bitcoin will have been created. But the blockchain essentially is a record, it's a registry of every Bitcoin that has been generated, which means it physically is represented somewhere. It may not, when I say physically, that's even kind of a tricky word because it's digitally represented somewhere, but there's at least a record of it being this, That's what's important. It's essentially creating a 21st century solution to, gold-backed currency, which is why a lot of people like to call crypto, or specifically Bitcoin, gold 2.0, because it has at least some intrinsic value. But then there's another part of me that thinks all of this crypto shit is just another fucking scam by the rich of the richest trying to fuck over poor dumb idiots who wish they were rich. Honestly. And I hope I'm wrong about that, but 30% of me thinks all of this is a fucking scam. Because generally when something's too good to be true, which everyone thought it was about 3 months ago with crypto, it fucking is. Because that's an expression, and expressions are real for a reason. Like, personally, I have a weird theory about Elon. In fact, I have several. One, I think he's a motherfucking alien. And I mean that quite goddamn literally. Strongest evidence being his motherfucking face. Two, for those of you, just to take a brief fucking detour, Werner von Braun, he was the Nazi scientist the United States took over in Operation Paperclip to head up NASA, who then ended up getting us to the moon. Also, apparently an author who in 1954, before Elon Musk was born, wrote a science fiction novel about getting humanity to Mars, and the character to do so would be named Elon. Yeah, isn't that fucking weird? Goddamn Nazis, NASA Nazis wrote a book about how we get back to Mars, and the guy who brings us back to Mars is our billionaire Robert Downey Jr. Iron Man-esque character, Elon, who all he does is talk about fucking Mars. He's like, hey, I'm going to die on Mars. Hey, I drew up an entire parliamentary system of government in case we ever get to Mars. I'm the king of Mars. I fucked the old bitch. That last one I added. But, like, isn't that a little weird? That is a fucking that is a coincidence if I've ever seen one. And I literally haven't, because coincidences are not a thing. So Elon, apart from being an alien, I kind of have a sneaky suspicion is the guy who invented Bitcoin. Do I have a lot of evidence to back this up? No, but I have a hunch, and god damn it, do I trust my hunch. So for those of you who do not know, and I gotta stop saying that expression because I need a better one than that, no one actually knows who invented Bitcoin. The name that we're told is Satoshi Nakamoto, which is one of the coolest but easily pronounceable Japanese names in fucking linguistics history. But the timelines seem to kind of line up with Elon's first major business venture, which everyone seems to forget he was responsible for, PayPal. Now, PayPal was, I don't know if they were literally the first, but they were the company that pushed us and our currency online, digitally, who made it available. And at this point, just all over ubiquitous. Thank you. That's the word. Thank you to nobody. That's the word I was looking for. Who made putting money online ubiquitous, in that you just would send money to things. Like, it's become to a point where it is weird if a business doesn't use PayPal. Like, it's that standard in industry. Now, think about this. And again, I don't want to connect dots for you, but I'll just highlight some of these big fucking coincidental dots. Nazi, now I'm talking like Brad Pitt. NASA Nazi wrote a book about going to Mars with a guy named Elon. We happen to have a guy named Elon who created the absolute behemoth of a company that led the charge toward digitalizing currency. Right around the same time Bitcoin first popped up under an anonymous name that we'll never actually get to the bottom of who it belongs to. And now he just keeps talking about aliens and cryptocurrency and just fucking tweeting things at whim to seemingly benefit his portfolio or his need to laugh sometimes. Now that is weird. All of those things are weird, and I'm not necessarily saying they're all related, but they are all true. And that is something that, if you just take a step back and consider that, is fucking bananas. It truly is one of the weirdest things around, is that all those three facts being true are crazy to me. And I really wish I had more to back up the theory, but also, like, think about it. Like, even if we just take a reductionist point of view with trying to get to the bottom of who Satoshi Nakamoto is, it had to be someone who is a fucking mathematics wizard, like a not human level of intelligence, figured out not only what the current, I would argue, the largest issue facing humanity is the fact that we have a currency that is not based or anchored to anything, not only created a solution to it, but then created the best solution to it. So good that it's now weird if companies don't use PayPal. And all that really did was get everybody prepared to, get all of their money, but never actually see any of their money. And now you don't even fucking blink an eye. Like, you get your paycheck every month and you get an email that's there, and then you go swipe your card, like I said, so you don't even consider it. That would be fucking crazy. Do you imagine if you told your grandparents, like, hey, you're going to get this job, and then every 2 weeks you'll get an email, we'll get into what that is later, saying you got paid, and then I'm going to give you this piece of plastic that you can go swipe through a machine, hit a bunch of doot numbers, and then spend some money on some things. That sounds bananas if you're not already on board with, society right now. There, to me, is very, very, very few coincidences. And the fact that the timelines line up, the guy seems to just affect currency based on, his whims, is enough for me to think there's definitely nothing there. And I know that's a double negative, but I can't rule out the fact that I think Elon Musk is Satoshi Nakamoto and a bitch. That's just what I believe. And honestly, Elon, if you're listening, which you're not, but maybe Anonymous could help me with that, fuck you. Fuck you, fuck you, fuck you. And believe me, Elon, I get it. It's exciting to just, shit post and just say shit you don't actually believe because it's funny. It's what satire is. It's a lost art. People are losing their houses, man. Dial it fucking back. And if the FCC's breathing down your fucking alien dick, tweet that maybe. And then we can all get a good chuckle out of it. And everyone could maybe be a little more calm rather than buying Bitcoin when they can't buy food. It's not, man. And I fucking hate this shit. But unfortunately, the people not getting sucked into this crypto craze are the idiot ass baby boomers. And I hate doing the whole generational, this group sucks, this group's great, because every group sucks and every group's great. But God damn it, if it isn't for their willful ignorance of technology, they really skirt it around this potential issue, this bubble. Because A, they don't know how to use their own cell phones. But B, they're skeptical enough to say, hey, wait a minute, what is this currency? It actually doesn't mean anything. There's one of them called Cum Rocket. Maybe I shouldn't put my financial livelihood in it. And which is surprising because I also think, financially speaking, baby boomers are some of the most lucky and stupid financial people that we've seen in history, because never has there been a generation who got so goddamn lucky with the cost of things, right? Like, ask your parents right now how much they bought their first house for. They might say $80,000. Or ask your grandfather how much he bought his first house for, and he'll say, yeah, fucking handshake deal. Because shit was cheap then. We, and when I say we, I'm speaking on millennials, the younger-ish millennials, not the Gens, basically over 20, but under 35. We're fucked because think about this. All of you are probably in crippling debt because your parents convinced you need to go to a college. And if you were smart and you took AP English, you probably thought, I should go to a private college because I'm worth it, and probably found yourself $150,000 in debt with a liberal arts degree with an emphasis in film. Now, that is a fucking terrible way to be. I would rather serve a year in a Chinese prison than be in the current financial situation I'm in with the skill set I have. But that's not 100% your fault. And I know at the end of the day, at the fucking bottom line, you took a loan, you signed something, and you got to pay it back. That we have to have accountability, otherwise we have lawlessness. But I also think your fucking dumb-ass parents need to take accountability to this, because the same dumb idiots who were smart enough to avoid crypto were dumb enough into thinking it would be a phenomenal idea to let my 17-year-old take out a loan, without an attorney present, mind you, for $100,000 fucking dollars to go get drunk 4 days a week in the middle of New Jersey, or somewhere equally as pointless. And that, to me, is bad parenting. But it's also good parenting in a weird way, right? Because, you want your kids to go to college. You're told your kids have to go to college. We have to send them deeply into debt so they can go be a socialist who hates money, right? Because that makes motherfucking sense. But, where was your wherewithal, baby boomer parent who thought, what are the odds that my child, who will get out of school at 21, 22-ish, will immediately have a job in which he does not feel the crippling debt of $150,000 hanging over his head? And to say that another way, if you get out of college, you need to make $150,000 before you have no money. Think about that for a second. You need to make almost, actually at this point, I would say we're pushing $250,000 if you're going to a private school now in 2021, and you don't even go to a private school. You fucking sit at home on your laptop for the right to log into Zoom for $250,000 fucking dollars. But you had to have said, as a parent, as someone who's, had a job and stuff, what are the odds that my 22-year-old will have a job in which he makes $200,000 a year? How many of those jobs fucking exist? Honestly, I couldn't tell you more than 3 jobs that probably clear $200,000 a year. If you make over $100,000, and this could just be because I'm an Irish Catholic idiot from a lower class family, you're a fucking NASA scientist, Nazi billionaire playboy philanthropist at that point, right? Like, if in my head, which is a fucking weird place to be, doctors make $100,000, lawyers make $100,000, teachers make $60,000, police officers are on the take, they dirty, fuck 12. Wouldn't that, wow, that was a fucking departure. But, I don't take any of that back. And then everyone else makes about $30,000 a year. That's generally what I, in my head, think of when it comes to, tax brackets and stuff like that. So there had to have been a point where the parents should have said to themselves, unless my kid's going to fucking medical school, which will put him $1 million in debt, maybe this is a poor financial move. Honestly, if I could go back to the day I signed my loans at Citizens Bank and I said, you know what, hey, instead of this $80,000 you're going to give me to go learn how to press record on a camera, let me just get that fucking loan and I'll start a business. I could start a more successful t-shirt business with $80,000 than I could actually represent my scholastic knowledge. That doesn't make any fucking sense. College should pretty much be free for smart kids, and if you're dumb, you can't go. That's just my opinion. But that would be a wiser move. And also another thing, student loans are the only type of loans you're not actually legally allowed to default on. If you just stop paying them, eventually you get Wesley sniped and that's it. You disappear. You end up in the fucking Wuhan virus lab getting tested on for like new makeup products for Gwyneth Paltrow's pussy. Wasn't that a lot of words? It was. It definitely was. But it's the only type of loan that you literally can't legally default on. Also, why is it that they're not going to, let's say an 18-year-old walks into a bank and says, hey, I want to buy a house. The bank's going to be like, hey, prove to us how you're going to pay this shit back, even though, in 2021, maybe not. But for some reason with the school thing, nobody bats an eye. It's like it's perceived rite of passage where everyone we send all these kids into the get fucked factory, and then we send them back out and put them on Zoloft and then wonder why people are jumping off bridges. I know why. It's because no one will ever have any money. And now if you're like me, 20-ish, mid-20s, you're starting to look at the fucking housing market and think, this seems oddly similar to 2007, 2008, where we're giving out subprime mortgages and people were buying houses with money they can't afford to have. Doesn't that seem weird that people are buying $300,000 row homes with money they can't afford to have? Almost like at a certain point, we're setting ourselves up to get fucked again, because history repeats itself. And you know who gets the short end of every goddamn stick, at least what I've observed? And I'm not crying, woe is me. I'm really not a woe is me person. Most of the time I think it's a fuck you problem, because, your problems are your own. But I think fucking millennials, dog, the short end of the stick if I've ever seen one. Because in about 10-ish years or so, God willing, and, inshallah, when I'm able to actually, start thinking about buying property, I'm going to be the one stuck with the fucking bill of the 2007, 2008, housing collapse, because all of a sudden, everyone's going to have all of these houses, and all of a sudden, the values of them are going to come back down to earth, and people aren't going to be able to afford them anymore, and that'll be right when I need a home. Because millennials, I really truly think there was a meeting at some point where the Bilderberg Group, NASA, Alphabet, the holders of Chipotle met and decided we need a plan and we need a group that we're going to fuck over perennially as much as we can in every socioeconomic way possible. And they landed on fucking millennials. It's been a fucking weird, let me just put a time. For those of you who think I'm just bitching and I'm being a millennial, let me just give you a quick timeline in how I remember history, right? So it starts with me, let's say kindergarten, even though I have some weird memories, I think, of being literally one, which is weird. But let's say kindergarten, right? First day of kindergarten, it's September, leaves are crisp and cool. I'm excited. I'm going to make friends. I'm going to go eat glue and shit. All of a sudden, quickly get out of school. The World Trade Center's burning and falling and planes are flying into it. But be cool. You're 6. It's fine. All right, fast forward a little bit later. We're at 2009, I want to say. I was at a Phillies game, right? Enjoying a nice baseball game. I love baseball. Who doesn't? It's America's pastime. What a storied way to spend an afternoon. I was at the Phillies game when we killed Osama bin Laden. I remember everyone getting that news, and I remember a stadium of people standing up and clapping that a man was killed. And I do not mean that to be as aggressive a statement as that may sound or controversial. I'm glad bin Laden's killed. Kill him again if you could, and I'm sure we've actually, or at least China's tried to bring him back and kill him. But kill him. Obviously kill him. He's a piece of shit, bad person who also had a code name with the CIA. Shout out Tim Osmond. But there is something inherently strange and anti-human almost about a stadium of people finding out a person's dead and getting up and clapping, irregardless of what's going on, i.e., in this case, a fucking baseball game. Literally, the game stopped because bin Laden died. That's a weird fucking thing to experience at 12, 13 years old, right? All right. Fast forward now, we're, a year later than that, and I'm just figuring out what the fuck a stock is, and then all of a sudden, people are jumping off of buildings on Wall Street because the housing market collapsed. Gas is almost $4 a gallon. It is getting fucking weird, and I'm hearing all these adults panic and wonder, like, oh my God, how are we going to pay our bills? Now you're 14, 15, that's your next major event. That gets really weird. But then, quickly in 2008, you get a brief moment of reprieve where you get the first black president. And you feel like we maybe had a bit of progress. This is all well and good. Psych! We're still going to use drones, you dumb idiots. So that wasn't cool. And now, you get out of college, kids. You're $100,000 in debt. It's time for you to get earning. Wait a minute. Fuck you. A bat fell in a cup of soup. The NBA's closed, and you're fired. And now you can't make money. So I don't know how you're going to do that. And now, if, let's say another 10 years after the pandemic, excuse me. Actually, that I truly don't. I just like using the word pandemic because it's satire. Look it up. But let's just say fast forward another 8 to 10 years from now, you finally made it through the fucking COVID-19 lockdown. You finally got a career going again. You finally put your women's studies degree to good use and you're making $38,000 a year in Manhattan. And all of a sudden you think the ground's finally firm underneath you, right? Good news. Now I should look into buying a house. Oh, wait, we have another motherfucking housing collapse because everyone was buying a house they can't afford after a year of not making money. These are bad things. And I was obviously a gross, reductionist view of the timeline of history that I have, but that is genuinely at every major cognitive development point for me, there has been some of the craziest fucking news of all time. Truly. And millennials, I mean, if you agree with me, start spewing some of this shit. Give these idiots some facts. Give your baby boomer parents who are giving you a hard time about being on your phone all day when you're actually looking for a fucking job, give them some facts to back up their shit, because what fucking strife did they experience? Most of them were too young to get drafted and didn't serve in Vietnam. The greatest service to this country they did was go to Woodstock and try shitty acid. Congratulations, thanks for that. Or if your parents are on the younger side, maybe they liked Pearl Jam. Could you imagine a worse fate than a parent who likes Pearl Jam? That would be terrible. And for any of you kids out there named Jeremy, that's why, you fucking idiots. Your dad's a moron. That was very personal. But again, I do stand by that. Give these baby boomers some facts, because they were the first generation that got credit cards, right? And they thought shit was owed to them because they were good people. So they went out and swiped. Or these, and then they were able to afford everything because they had, jobs with high school diplomas that were paying them $70,000, $80,000 a year with like an 85% matched pension. And somehow we're the losers. We're the children who won't get up and go to work because there's no jobs to be had. But we're the problem. We're the one dragging down your 401k. We're the ones slowing the economy down. We're the ones who don't want to work. We're the ones who feel so entitled. Ask your parents how much credit card debt they're in. Because I guarantee you those fucking idiots loved watching Friends when it was on TV and would just spend and spend and spend because their parents, who actually did some real gangster shit like World War II, were hard on them and they wanted to rebel and go to Woodstock. And, I wanted to make up for trauma. And I earned this vacation. I earned this Royal Caribbean cruise. That's the shit that bothers me, because you can't... the pot loves calling the kettle black, right? Obviously, every generation blames every generation. But I really, 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 truly believe here that there is a bone to be picked between baby boomers, and then I know that's a far-reaching group, and millennials, young people now. Because millennials and young people are victims of a lot. And I hate using that word victim. I really fucking do. But when your first day of school is 9/11, that's a rough way to start. I do not think anyone would disagree with me on that. And the hardest shit a baby boomer had to go through was, deciding between if you're a Friends person or a Frasier person. It's pitiful, really. And now, like, they'll fucking call their other 50-year-old friend on their phone they don't know how to use and be like, dog, I'm really worried about the world and these young kids and the wokeness and the wokeness and the wokeness and Shut the fuck up. You still watch NCIS. If you watch network television, if you tolerate a commercial, fuck you. Fuck your opinion. You don't get to have one anymore on basically anything. If you're literally a person who in 2021 remains on the couch and watches a Tide laundry commercial, fuck you. You don't count really to me anymore. I might be harsh. It might be funny. Hopefully, please. I really hope that's funny. But fuck you if you watch a commercial. And the only people that watch commercials are the people who could buy houses with $80,000. They could get a phenomenal career going with a high school diploma. They smoked shit-ass weed and, when they were in the 80s or however that worked. And somehow life just fell into place for them. And now they're looking into getting a property in Florida so their pensions don't get taxed. Fuck you. Fuck you and your silly, dumb old face. Because we're out here needing jobs. Okay? When I say we, millennials, a lot of us don't have jobs. And that's just a fact. And a lot of us who do have jobs either hate those jobs, you're underpaid in those jobs. Actually, yeah, that's just a large percentage of people with jobs. They're underpaid. And for some reason, they keep just accepting the quality of life getting worse. I mean, what didn't the quality, the average lifespan of an American just decrease for the first time in maybe ever? And that alarms nobody. And yet somehow, if you hear all these baby boomers bitching about us, what I love to point out to these fucking doofis, which is plural doofus, thank you, is the fact that there's not really millennials in power anyway. So think about that for a second, you fuck. Because it's not like the millennials they're doing this, they're doing that, they're making everyone gay or woke or I don't even really know how baby boomers talk to each other, honestly, I'm projecting. But we're not even the ones drafting legislation. We're not really in charge of companies. There's not a ton of 20-year-old CEOs. It's still your contemporary old fucks. And now begs the question, why does it seem like all of these dumb ideas associated with millennialism, like wokeness and I hate to even use that word just because I hear so many other people use it, but these ideas that are permeating the cultural zeitgeist right now and are pissing off your tax-paying 50-year-olds, these ideas are sneaking in. The fact that a 50-year-old knows what wokeness is because a 50-year-old in charge of another company decided it would be financially beneficial for this company to act like we give a shit about it. That's literally it. So at the end of the day, if you're a 50-year-old railing about an episode of Blue Bloods talking about police reform, that's because someone at fucking CBS realized we could make money. You following me? We can make money off of this idea. They don't actually have that idea. That's your fucking 50-year-old counterpart at CBS making more money, being selfish. And that's not even necessarily bad. Greed is good to a degree, obviously to a degree. I think there's a basement level that everyone needs to have first. That's just my opinion. But make your money. I love capitalism. Shout out to it. It's probably the best solution we have going right now. And if you disagree with me on that, tweet about it on your Chinese child slave labor phone. But anyway, this is all about money for the most part. And the only group that doesn't seem to give a fuck about money, almost to a fault, probably because they've given up any hope of ever fucking having any, are millennials. Because they have $30,000 a year jobs that they have to commute 2 states to go pay probably city wage tax, state tax, and live in one state, commute to another, just get fucking taxed and fucked and overworked and tired. And they don't even, most millennials, if you read any news article, they're not even interested in coming anymore. How sad is that shit? It is a fun thing to do, and yet they're not even interested in that. We're too goddamn tired. I don't even have time to light a few candles, put on some Sade, and just let me know I'm worth it. You know what I'm saying? Where's that romance? How about a little self-romance? This has taken such a left turn. But what I'm trying to get to the point of here is there is always a generational divide because that's people differentiate because, like I said, the human brain just judges. That's all it fucking does. But I really think there's a bone to pick here between baby boomers who raised millennials, who bitch about them, and the intelligent baby boomers in charge of companies who are monopolizing and monetizing ideas that millennials, or at least we have since through guerrilla marketing, associated with millennials and profited off of it, all in the interest of their 401k going up more. And I don't really know what a 401k is. When I was a kid, I thought it was literally $401,000. I truly, truly did. And it's fucked up. And it's almost like, Chase Bank saying, hey, you're gay, bank here for June. But not any other time in June, you faggot. You're not allowed here then. Like, these companies don't care about you. They don't. And they're run by people who are not fucking millennials, I can tell you that. And the only companies that are run by millennials have fucking terrible business models, like Tom's, like the shoe company, for example. Their model is we make a pair of shoes, we give one away. Those fucking morons, right? I mean, tremendous act of charity, probably a tax write-off, probably the advice of some baby boomer that gave it to him. But the companies that make the most are not run by the kids who give a fuck about Pride Month or wokeness. They just fucking don't. They're run by adults who give a fuck about a dime and realized we can make money off of millennials who do not have much to spend anyway, but are dumb enough into spending money because they saw a specific set of colors and a specific set of order outside of a coffee store. And somehow that just works. And that's why I think crypto is dangerous, because the mind is impressionable. Obviously, the mind's not even done developing till you're 25, right? Isn't that what everyone loves to say? And now everyone realizes, hey, at least if you're coming on the other side of 25, outlook looking pretty bleak, objectively. I mean, the world closed. That's bad. I don't have a job. I'm still living in my parents' house. And they keep telling me it's all my fault somehow. And yet they're $80,000 in credit card debt, but they could just wipe that away if they just, sold their fucking shed in South Carolina for $500,000 right now and then just bought a property in Florida to avoid taxes. But again, somehow it's all still the millennial fault. That's the shit that is infuriating to me, because it's not taking everything into account. You can't say that, you need to be savvy at business and you need to be entrepreneurial and capitalism. But then at the same time, get taken for a motherfucking chump when Chase Bank says, we care about you. Put all your money here. Park it here in our bank so we can go exploit kids in South Asia. It's fucked up in an extra type of fucked up type of way, which is why I kind of thought crypto was the solution. It seemed at first like the thing millennials particularly could kind of grow up with in kind of a sense similar to growing up with the internet. And it could kind of present itself as a solution for people to kind of lift themselves up, kind of get a financial head start on the rest of their life. Maybe buy half a Bitcoin. Maybe Elon tweets about it. Now you could suddenly pay off your student loans. But now the odds of even that are looking fucking low, all because Elon felt like cracking a funny on a Tuesday. That's what's dangerous as shit. And then when you start to factor all that in and think about it, that's what then makes me think all of this is not actually real. This is probably just another fucking scam by the rich to let poor people think they have a shot at getting rich, which is something both American political parties love to do, by the way, and just obviously siphon more money out of them, check by check, Robinhood deposit from Robinhood deposit, until they suddenly live outside and we can just use them for adrenochrome. Now, granted, I'm a worst-case scenario type of dude because I like to plan for the worst-case scenario and then be pleasantly surprised when it doesn't. But it's starting to look like if what was supposed to be the financial solution to the world's woes, or at least the upcoming generational woes, all of a sudden looks extra fucked because of Twitter. I see no other outlook. I don't see how you could be positive about that. It makes me think crypto, what I thought was going to be a groundbreaking revolutionary idea, is just another iteration of fine art, for example. Now, what I mean by when I say fine art, I love art. I'm generally an artistic person. I know enough about fine art. I actually do. I'll drop some names on your silly dumb goose head right now. Van Gogh, Miro, Surrealism, Impressionism, Postmodernism, things like that. I like art shit, believe me. At the same time, fine art is a fucking scam, and it is a perfect microcosm of how wealthy people manipulate people who, let's just use the artist, for example, as the millennial in this case, right? So the artist, everyone knows the stereotype of a hungry, starving artist. They have the talent. They do the thing. They live well below the poverty threshold, but they create this beautiful piece of art that is uniquely theirs, and it's an expression of almost human life itself on canvas, right? In comes motherfucking wealthy baby boomer, in this case, the Rothschilds, and they decide, hey, we have a lot of gold in our castle, and we're starting to get uneasy because all the hungry villagers eating dirt look really mad at us. We need a way to have our money but make it look different, right? We need to, do a magic trick on a bitch. So what did they come up with? Buying fine art, right? Think about it. If you're a wealthy person, what a better way to literally hang money on your wall and not actually keep the money there without the risk of, being the guy who has $1 million in cash in your house. All you got to do is buy a piece of surrealism, throw it on the wall, wait 2 years, and flip that shit back, and all of a sudden you got your cash. And fun little fact for you, the guy who first, I don't know, you can't make this shit up. The very first recorded transaction of a rich person buying fine art, probably for more of a financial move, was none other than Amschel Rothschild in the late 1700s. That Rothschild, the guy who started, that family, right? Again, all of this information is available, people. People are trying to fuck people. That's what people do. People are trying to love people too, especially during the month of June. But you gotta connect a few dots. You can't think there's a shortcut to any of this shit because there is not. In fact, most people don't even know what the fuck they're doing. They're just parroting shit they've heard other people say, and they think they're more successful than them, so they must be right. That's not the case. You can be born lucky. You can be born unlucky. You can be born a baby boomer. You can be born a millennial. There's nothing you can do about that. You got your hand of cards, right? All you can do is kind of like read the poker face of the person you're playing against and make an informed decision.